So welcome back, everyone. I absolutely love having my next guest on. And what I love about her more than anything is how real she is. And that's with everybody. I have with me Sandy Greenlee. She's the owner of Angels Cremation and Burial. And I know right away it's like, oh my God. But there's a great reason why you come on. And that's about planning. People, you got to start trying to plan in advance, right?
Well, the thing of it is, if you don't tell anybody what you want, they don't know. And then they're all stressed out, and they're overwhelmed, and they're frustrated. And so even if you don't want to plan, at least talk about it. And I can tell you, Americans are the worst about talking about it. I promise you, it is still going to happen whether you talk about it or not. And when you talk about it, it makes life so much simpler for those that are left behind. Because there's not the what ifs, and I don't know, and oh golly, what do we do? Do we bury? Do we cremate? Where do we put them? Where do we scatter them? Do we keep them on our shelf? There's a million different questions. So open your mouth and talk about it.
I love that. Let's do that right now, okay?
Okay.
Because I love doing that, and that's what we do here. That's what I love about this show is the information and to, kind of put some thought in people's mind, right? One of the things that we talked about just before you came on, and I'm going to talk, because what I do have to say something though, is that, when you say talk about it, that it is going to be easier for the living,
Right.
But what about when you think about this? You've passed, I know it's you're past, but do you want to be hanging out in her cooler if you don't do what you need to do, which is part of planning, isn't just telling them what you want with their ashes and all of that. It's a lot more.
Well, the thing of it is, especially in the state of Arizona, if you want to be cremated, you have a legal next of kin. It starts out with your husband, and then it goes to all of your children, and then it goes to both of your parents, and then it goes to all of your siblings, and then I can't remember after that. I have to look it up in the book every time. But the point of the matter is, if there's two children and one of them is not able to be caught or found, we have to post an obituary and wait for 15 days. Or if one of the parents are not found. So you can sign your own authority to cremate if you want to be cremated. Now, if you want to be buried, it's a little bit different because you can always exhume somebody and then have them cremated. But once you cremate somebody, it's done. There's no going back, there's no changing it, it is done. And I don't care if you're 16 or if you're 65 or you're 95. If you want to be cremated, sign the paperwork, get it done. I promise you, get it signed. If you want somebody to notarize it, because it needs to be notarized when you sign it, bring it to my office. I will do it free. I will not charge you for a notary. And so the thing of it is nobody wants to hang out in the cooler for 15 days.
I don't.
And not only that, sometimes you don't even have a next of kin because they're all vanished off the face of the earth, which is hard for me to comprehend because I have a huge family. In fact, the joke in my family is I have so many I get to pick which ones I like and which ones I don't like. But not all families are that way. I think that's the thing that shocked me the most about getting in the industry is finding out that there are people without a next of kin or without a next of kin that wants to do anything. And friends are wonderful. They want to help you. They want to do it. But their hands are tied if they don't have the proper paperwork. And the state of Arizona has allowed a power of attorney to live after the death if it states cremation or final disposition. If it doesn't state those two things, probably 98 or 99% of all power of attorneys are null and void at the time of death. So the Attorney General is wonderful. They have it on their website. All you have to do is download it, sign it, and have it notarized.
So
It's a piece of cake.
So before you came on, we were talking about people, and you've been very busy.
Oh, yes.
And I mean, we talked about. I asked you this question. I had to ask you. Are they people who are just passing away because they're older, or what? And what did you say?
I think a lot of people are just giving up. The economy is miserable right now, and people don't know what's coming next. They don't know what's happening. And so people just give up. They quit eating, they quit drinking. And it's a choice. And I'm not God, and I don't know what his plan is, and I don't know how he decides who he takes and who he leaves. As Carol knows, my favorite saying is God picks the flowers he wants. Doesn't matter whether they're beautiful or ugly. Doesn't matter if they're young or old. Doesn't matter whether they're young or old, he just picks the flowers he wants, sick or healthy. I mean, oftentimes it's the caregiver that goes before the person who's really sick. And then the person that's really sick gives up and they get to go home too. And so, I don't know, I don't have a direct line to God. There's days I wish I did, and other days I'm dang sure glad I don't.
Yeah, but one of the things that you do say too about God, not only that he picks the flowers that he wants, but when he wants to pick those flowers.
That's right. And because of some personal experiences and listening to people in the mortuary, I truly am beginning to believe that we have some choice in the matter. Because my dad wasn't going to have go until he had a beer. The next day he got to go. My uncle came and he had a beer and he left that the next day.
That's amazing.
My son was determined he was not going to go until his dad got there, and as soon as his dad got there, he passed away. My husband didn't want to go until his cousin got there. She got there on Sunday. He left on Monday. I don't know if it's God's plan that we get what we want or that we have some say-so in it.
I think that's awesome because that's so cool. I've heard of many stories like that. I do want to talk about cremation really quickly because we do say this many times. A cremation is a cremation no matter where you go. And we want to talk a little bit about that because your mortuary is a little different because, it's affordable and you really don't have to go to a fancy place, especially when we're looking at what things cost. Let's talk about what you do.
Well, like Carol says, a cremation is a cremation. It doesn't matter whether you pay $5,000 or you pay $700. It's all the same process. You pick up the loved one, you keep them in refrigeration, you get the paperwork done, and you have them cremated. And so, if you want to go to the expensive mortuaries, go to the expensive mortuaries. If you're watching your dollars, find a less expensive mortuary. I have been so surprised at how many people think that they're all the same. And because this one is close to my neighborhood, sometimes they charge more for the removal fee than we charge for the whole cremation. People say to me, how come yours is so much cheaper? Do you do something different? I said, yeah, I work for a living. We all work. We don't sit around waiting for somebody to walk in the door. And because I'm single, my husband passed away 6 years, I spend a lot of time at the mortuary. And so, I don't require a lot of money. And so I serve families.
You sure do. And what I love about her is she is so real. When you go there, when you talk to her and you're sitting there saying, I want to get this casket, we say, I want the best. I want to have gold layered, whatever. And what do you say? I love it.
Well, I've said it a couple times. How much do you want to pay per hour to look at that casket? Especially with people that do not have money and they're giving up their rent, they're giving up their car payment. You're going to see a casket for a maximum probably of 3 or 4 hours. If you want to pay $3,000 or $4,000 an hour, please do that. But if you don't, please shop around. Please look.
And give them a
The thing of it is that you need to be educated, especially if you're watching your dollars.
And everybody is right now. And if you don't have it, don't do it. A lot of people do, and they'll take out loans for this and that because they feel guilty, they feel like they have to. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk further. Let me tell you something, folks. It's all about being prepared, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what you need to be prepared for, things that, to think about when it comes to this. Her phone number is 480-962-6435, which is 96 Angel. And then her website is angelscremationandburial.com. The most important thing is that you listen to what she's talking about, getting prepared, making sure that the documents are done right, not just done, but done right, and also please notarize, get it notarized. That's another thing.
Yes, like I said, if you have to pay somebody to come to my office, I'll notarize it for free. I want people to have their paperwork notarized.
What is the biggest myth when it comes to, let's say, cremation that people don't realize? Myth.
I don't know what the biggest myth would be, Carol. I really don't.
Well, here you got it written down. So here it is, okay? People think that you're all, I hate to do it this way, but I'm going to, thrown in at one time.
Oh, people have thought that. Or they think that they get back 5 pounds, they get back a huge box of cremains rather than a half a gallon of ice cream. I had one lady one time that was just devastated because she was in tears. I even called my funeral board and asked them to explain it to her. And she kept yelling, no, my friend told me I was gonna get a box that was like 20 by 20. You actually get a box that's like 6 by 8. Because the only thing that is left when you're cremated is your bone structure. And remember, your bone structure has bone marrow. And as you get age, it gets thinner, and so there's less of it. Half
So-
a gallon of ice cream.
Give him a call at 480-962-6435. It's angelscremationandburial.com. Hang tight. We are going to be back in just a minute. You like that?
Yeah, I was like, what is basement?
I know. Well, I remembered it. You had it down here then. The people fixed it.
Hey, she's like a pro. She's like,
Say that?
she talks more than you.
I love what I do for a living. I really do.
Well, we can do some of these things from the beginning, like, you know.
You can do whatever you want, Carol. I'm as prepared as I am. I'm here.
Okay, that I know. I know how to work with you. When people don't know what to do, okay, they come in and they're just beside themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It was sudden, let's say, right? And they have literally nothing was done. How do you handle that?
I just look at them and say, how much money do you have that you can spend and still live? Because your loved one probably wants you to continue to live, not be in poverty. And you have to walk your path in peace once it's all over, said and done. So if that means you need to bury somebody and spend $30,000, do that. If it says that you can spend $600 and be happy and be okay, that's what you should do. You know, talk to your family, talk to your friends. What did they want? If they've never said anything, what would you want done with your life, with your body? What would you want done?
And another thing too with that is that a lot of people, they might have some of the things, like they want a cremation or whatever, and that's done, but maybe do they want to do with the body afterwards or things like that? There's an extended part of it.
Do you want to sit on the mantle? Do you want to sit in the garage? Do you want to be scattered? Do you want to be buried? Do you want a headstone? Do you want to be buried with grandma? Do you want to be, there's thousands
There's
of
so
things
many
you can
different
do.
things.
You can be made into a diamond ring. You can be made into firecrackers. You can be made into, blown glass. I mean, it's whatever and everything you choose has a price tag.
It's exactly.
And the other thing is you don't have to make a decision today. You have to decide whether you want to be cremated or buried. Everything else you can make a decision tomorrow.
Yeah, but
It's not
I
the
think
rush
that
of
it's
a
important.
burial. If it's a burial, you have to make some
Right.
decisions today or, not today, but, within a short period of time. If you're cremated, you can make choices in a lifetime.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, I have a lot of families that come back to buy urns and things.
Go ahead.
There's people that come back to get urns for holidays or birthdays or, at different periods of time.
Hold on there. So welcome back. We're talking about probably one of the most important subjects
And the most ignored.
and the most ignored that people just tend, especially here in America, don't want to talk about. But folks, it is so important that we are prepared.
There's only one thing in life you're guaranteed, and that's that you're going to be checking out at some point in time.
Yes, you are. And it can be done either as expensively as you want or as affordably as you want, right? And I think that's where you come in.
Well, and the thing of it is people need to realize that, to me, what is important is spending time with your loved one when they're alive and doing things when they're alive, because they can remember those and you can talk about them and you can hold those in your heart. It's not how much money you spend when they're gone to impress somebody else or to impress yourself. Spend time with your loved ones when they're alive, and then you'll be at peace when they choose to check out.
So one of the things that we talk about is if you're gonna get a cremation, that please make sure that the paperwork is done correctly, make sure that it is notarized. And if you need to get that notarized and you don't have a place to go, Sandy will do it for you for free. I do also want, go ahead.
It's not, just gonna say, we'll do it for free.
And I do want to say too, again, I want to repeat this, because a cremation is a cremation. It does not matter where you go. You can either spend a lot, or you can spend a little, or at least more affordably.
Yes, that's right.
You can tell them, I want you to tell them.
Oh, we charge $6.85 for a direct cremation. There are some exceptions if you live a long ways from our mortuary, if you're overweight, people are, that's one of them, I guess that's kind of a myth.
There's
I never
another
thought
myth
about
for
it.
you.
Because if the larger you are, the longer it takes to cremate, and so crematories charge more if you weigh more. And so unfortunately, they don't charge less if you weigh less, so I've had a lot of people ask me that question. And so, check around. Make sure that you're getting what you want and doing what you want.
Check them out. It's Angels Cremation and Burial.com. The phone number is 480-962-6435, which is 96 Angel. And one of the other things that we want to talk a little bit about is kind of like what is a difference between certain things. So I'm going to go into some of that. The pros and, well, let me do this one. Can you have a funeral after you have been cremated?
No, you can have a funeral before you're cremated.
So you can do that?
Yes, you can have, you can have like a traditional funeral. The funeral homes even have what's called a rental casket. Nobody would ever know that it's not a regular casket. The whole insides of it will come out, and it's a box with all the fluff and the ruffles and the lining that makes it, that fluffs
Pretty.
over the casket, makes it pretty. And so you can have people won't even know you're having a cremation, rather than going to the cemetery after everything is said and done, you go to the crematory. It's getting to be a really major choice for people in the past that have wanted to bury, and they can't afford it. And so they do a service so that they can still have the viewing, they can still have the service, they can still have everybody come and attend and say their final goodbyes to the deceased body, and then be cremated. And so that's definitely an option. You can also have a cremation, and then you can have a memorial service, which means that the body is not present other than the cremains are, or maybe pictures. And most churches are very open to that anymore. When I first got in the industry 25 years ago, there were churches that kind of snubbed us and put their nose up in the air for that kind of a thing. I tell people you can have a memorial service wherever you want. You can have one in the city park. You can have one in your backyard. You can have one in the event center. You can have one at your apartment complex if they have a community center. You don't have to have the mortuary available. You do not have the mortuary present when you're having a cremation. The only time a mortuary needs to be present is when there is a physical body.
You know what? I'm looking at a piece of paper here. It's probably the second or third time that I can't remember how, and it says 2021, but that I don't even remember these questions that I want to ask you right now. They're fabulous. So somebody needs a casket. Where do I purchase one?
You can purchase one from the mortuary. You can purchase one online. There's casket companies that sell caskets. The thing is, you'll have to know that mortuaries do not accept caskets. That they do not sell unless you are present, so that you can visually see them, so that you know if there's scratches or dents or bumps. And so you need to have them sent to. If you're ordering them online, you're ordering them through the mail order, then you'll want to make sure that they're shipped to your house. You uncrate them so that you know the condition of the casket, and then bring them to the mortuary.
So there's a rule.
Yeah, there's a law. No, there's a law.
There's a law. Okay, there's a law. See, I know everything.
And that says a mortuary cannot force you to buy a casket from them. Now, some places you can get a really nice casket, a lot less than a mortuary sells. Sometimes you can get them less expensive from a mortuary than you can from getting them from a third party. It's, again, doing your homework, looking around. You can make a homemade casket. I will suggest to you, if you make a homemade casket, that you check with a mortuary for measurements, because there is nothing more frustrating to have a casket come to my office and we get to the cemetery and it doesn't fit in the outer burial
that's
container.
bad.
And we've asked people before, we've told people, we've given them the measurements, stick to the measurements. because if they don't fit in the box that the casket's going into, we will dismantle the casket by cutting off the handles. We will have to take it back, and you'll have to buy a bigger outer burial container. The cemetery can charge you extra. They can charge you twice
Oh my
because they're putting
gosh.
it down and then they're bringing it back up. So don't go with, if they tell you it's 35 by 72, 78, I think it is. Don't make it 32 by 78. Make it 31 by 77. Make it an inch smaller because you have to put that inside of a cement box. And the other thing is if you're making your own casket, make sure there's a way to keep the lid open, because otherwise it's not very fun to get hit on the head with the casket, or trying to figure out how the mortuary is going to keep that casket open so you can see them.
Where else but on Networking Arizona would you learn something like this? Making your own caskets. Go ahead.
Well, the thing of it is that we encourage people to get measurements, stick to the measurements, believe what we say. We're not lying to you. We're trying to help you out, and we don't argue with you. We let you get to the cemetery when we've told you what the measurements are, and we've measured and told you it's not going to fit. And then you want to argue with us, we say, okay, we'll take them to the cemetery, and then the cemetery will tell you what to do. Because I don't believe in arguing. I believe in educating and let people live the consequences of their choices.
I do have to ask you, do a lot of people make their own caskets?
No.
Okay, thank you.
No.
I just thought,
I
wow.
probably had, in the 25 years I've been
But I know
in
there are
business,
people that do.
I've probably had 10 homemade caskets.
Wow, that's amazing. So what difference does it make what casket I purchase?
It doesn't, it's all personal opinion. There's a variety of caskets. If you get a cloth-covered casket, they're going to be the least expensive. A cloth-covered casket means that it is made out of particle board, which is what we put on our ceilings and we put on our floors, so it's gonna be durable and tough and strong. And then they put fabric over the top of it. I actually plan to be buried in one myself because they have one that's got oak fabric, and I happen to like oak, and I don't want to pay the price for oak.
See, there you go.
Then there's metal caskets. There's 18 gauge and there's 20 gauge, and I can tell you I've never met anybody yet that can tell me the difference between an 18 gauge and a 20 gauge, because that's just how thick the metal is. Or there's wood, and there's like fake wood. There's oh, it's in my mind just went blank. Like paneling, or there's ones made out of real wood. But it's your choice. Choose whatever you want. And don't let somebody convince you need to spend more because it's your loved one. No, you need to spend more time with your loved one when they're alive.
And let me ask this, do airlines offer any discounts for a death?
Oh, there's some that do, but let me tell you, it's cheaper to buy it online and get it a lot cheaper. There's some that don't because they know it's going to be more expensive. I got hooked on that when my dad died. They were going to give me cheaper airlines. It ended up costing me $200 more because I could cancel the flight without any fees. Well, the interesting thing was my husband already had that flight because he was going to go home anyway, and they let me change his flight for free. So don't play their game. Just buy the cheapest ticket you can get online that fits your needs, and don't be asking for a discount unless you go with, I think Canada Air or Alaskan Air gives discounts, but everybody else, they charge more.
Here's one. How quickly do I have to decide about a viewing? Really quick.
That I can't answer that question because sometimes your loved one is already having deterioration when we get them. Sometimes they last for a week or 2 weeks. I can't tell you, that's God's plan, not mine.
Well, let me tell you, I just love her. And I love the way that you want to educate the public and that being prepared, it's all about that. And also saving money, you're all about helping people, saving money.
If that's what you want, save money. If you want to go spend it. We don't care. The thing of it is you need to feel peace because you need to walk your path.
Her number is 480-962-6435. It's Angels Cremation and Burial.com.